So why does Vanguard not market more alt arts to the community? Make sure you guys smash the crap out of this subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more honest content. I know it's been a little bit since we've actually had a discussion out here. So this was inspired by, I was reading from DF and WCC, kind of talking about on Twitter today, and it was the discussion of, Shadowverse making these alt arts pretty much essentially what they've been doing out here with the Bermuda stuff. Now, for those of you that might be new to this game, we only post premium content here, so I'm kind of curious to know why. Maybe you have an interest in premium or whatnot, but disclaimer, I don't like standard at all. I think it's too simplistic, and V bores the shit out of me. So we stick to premium because it's the format I enjoy the most and so forth. So a little bit of an expert on the old days of Vanguard out here. So why do they not take advantage of this? There was a time out here where I feel like in more recent tournament packs, they just stopped printing the alt arts and they just started reprinting the cards. Like a cool example of alt arts was this. This card right here looks fan-frickin-tastic as an alt art. But recently, the reprints we've been getting have just been essentially like one-to-ones. One thing that Vanguard, I think, is scared shitless of is, if they print a version of a card, they're worried that, it's going to be worth more than something. I think it's there's an old discussion a long time ago about, like, Vanguard prize cards, and they didn't want them to be like two variants and two different of rarity with these sorts of things. They wanted them to, still maintain some sort of cool thing, but they didn't want them to be, so crazy in value. And then, like, look at last year where they just made them full arts with no effects and things like that for their usability. So that's an interesting discussion point for an entirely different thing here. But I think that we got to look at the way that reprints are done in Vanguard here. Especially looking at, like, the lyrical replaced Bermuda. All right, the way that they marketed Bermuda was, especially in the later half of G, and, in the later half of V, it was like, hey, come get these alt arts. We'll print them in the set for you. Don't worry about it. All right, it will be a good, fun time. All right. And you would shell out, you're still shelling out prices for these alt arts out here, like alt art Bermuda cards. It was their marketing scheme was to put these in the set. They didn't have the need to reprint cards. They can just drive the higher rarity into that set and use it as a selling point to sell that product. Hey, you can get, card gets released here, you can also get, guess what? All of the value you want in this set. So, there's no point in using reprint alt arts to sell a product when you're just putting them in the set initially. Now, this is where the discussion comes in now to, Vanguard has been doing these recent reprint sets. They've been the festival collections. Bushiroad's formula is, hey, we'll reprint some triggers in here. We'll give you some cool exclusives. And, some more reprints. And then, like, two new over triggers that may or may not dictate the format. Really depends on that. Vanguard does not need to reprint cards with alt arts for the festival collections. I want to point that out there. There's enough gas in those new cards that as long as they fine-tune them to change the meta, you don't gotta do shit, alright? Now, when you make something like the Triple Drive booster set, this is where the success of those alt arts actually comes in. You can design a set full of reprints, but if you're not gonna put truly, like, warping cards in the set, then this is where you can start to trickle in that reprint equity out here and draw in your audience with those alt arts. Keep in mind what they did with all of those alt arts from, the ending theme out here. Triple Drive was a huge success. I did not believe in the set. I'm going to be very vocal about that. I didn't think it would have the selling power that it did, but it did. Triple Drive is a good showcasing of where they can use this sort of stuff to go, hey, you guys want reprints? But you can also get those alt arts. Some of them might be worth 50, 60 bucks. Some of them might be $5. Some of them might be 170. Look at Protoby out here on the secondary market for an example of this. So this is where we come down to the sex appeal for the waifu tax and things like that. You know, what if, you know, you got to see Boff Saraga in a bikini? All right, well, that's what Shadowverse is doing. We're actually pulling the Bermuda effect away from Bermuda, and we're making a summertime set to basically, I mean, who wouldn't want a Luard in the same thing? Like, those were the two major things that I pulled out of this was, you know, you can make these alt arts out here and do a beach-inspired thing, you know. I'm not gonna lie, I sure knew wearing boxers would be one of the funniest things you could imagine out here. But you could have so much fun with this stuff, and you can't tell me the Vanguard marketing hasn't thought of this. This would also be, another one of the things I read was this would be a good place to put those crest generator reprints too. You know, having these things be paywalled, you know, one per deck, you're just killing premium players out here from having to get these. You know, having to buy 4 decks per crest generator is so insane to think about. And especially if enough time passes. I mean, some of these stores don't even have these, you know, decks in stock anymore. You know, like, you can have a reprint policy in place for these things, but if there's none out there for sale, then what are we doing? You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing you got to think about out here is, if I can't buy them, your reprint policy is dog shit. You know, I just want to throw that out there. You know, like, ooh, what are we protecting? Nothing, because I can't find them anyway. All right? That's the thing that, like, I understand why people get frustrated with these promo prices, but the other thing that people need to understand with the promos is, you know, the promos do go down over time. You know, well, I want to play Ava today. Well, then if you can't afford it today, then wait next month. When the next round of promo packs hits, most of these promo cycles are 2 months. 2 months after, guess what? You know, once these have circulated and everything's gone down, prices get way more affordable. You know, yeah, you might be out 2 months of playtime with this, but man, the value has just been cut dramatically. I've watched some of these $60, $70 promos go down to $10 after 2 months. All right, like, it's a game of patience and waiting. All right, and deciding, you know, do I need this now? But anyway, so back to the alt art discussion here. I think it would be really nice to see some alt arts actually be inspired by the current trends of Shadowverse. As much as I've been very vocal, I'm not a huge fan of the Shadowverse game. I think it's a cool concept, sure, but there's too many gosh darn TCGs out there, and it's not for me. But there can be a lot of ideas, a lot of these alt arts that they do that Bushi needs to learn from. Bushi needs to know that producing these alt arts, you know, I don't know what their cost is for these things. I don't know what their policy is, what they're paying these artists, but alt arts sell product. It doesn't take a genius to tell you that, and they need to do more of these sorts of things. Hi Premium, how are you? I too would love a huge summer theme set out here, but once again, I don't think they're going to produce 80 alt arts. I think at most you might be looking at, I guess all the alt art triggers to get them, that was like, what, 20? So that's something to think about too. The cost of producing these alt arts, reprint equity in those, and, you know, are they making enough to justify, you know, the cost of sinking this in? I don't know, I'm not on their marketing team, but I can tell you that this is something that should be approached very easily. And you know what? I also question why Yugi doesn't do this, but Yugi's an entirely different creature that has no idea what it wants to do some days out here. So, for all intents and purposes, this alt art discussion is very good. I want to see this. Whether or not it be like a beach-inspired theme, you know, what they're doing with the current Mediel stuff and the current set, please make it happen. Leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. I'll see your beautiful faces back here later, day, guys. Peace. Thanks for watching today's video. Check out tradingcardmint.com down below in the description. Enter MCool40 on checkout. Save a little bit of money on your purchase. Check out mcoolgames.com if you're interested in getting some cool playmats and single trading cards as well. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Turn on those notifications so you don't miss one of our videos. Thanks for watching.